Hello, friends, and welcome to a special Wednesday night edition of Ridiculously Raw. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Earlier this afternoon, MF messaged me with some very sad news from a promotion that we very much support and have a working partnership and relationship with, that being the Renegade Wrestling Alliance. For more on that, I'm going to turn the mic over to good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, you asked for this time, and unfortunately, we have two bits of sad news to report, but this one right here, this first bit, a lot more closer to home than this one is.
Yeah, this one kind of is rocked the entire New England wrestling area. Earlier this morning, around 11 a.m., word got out that Chris Roy, formerly known as the Unbalanced Messiah, Christopher Dozier, passed away, guys. And this absolutely shook the core of not only RWA, but RICW as well. And throughout the course of the day, many wrestlers that I'm very familiar with, good friends of mine, guys like Nicholas Marchand, the Ace, Mike Montero, T Phoenix, the Suplex Sweetheart Asana, and many more have been giving tribute all day to the life of Christopher Dozier. The cause of death is unknown. At least I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. But all I can say is that my fondest memories of Christopher Dozier was it was an RWA event that used to be held at the East Providence Recreational Center. This was literally my first time watching RWA. I was invited by two friends of mine that knew I was a fan of professional wrestling, and I went to the show. That night, the main event was Chris Pyro versus Davey Cash. And at the time, the RWA Triple Crown title was on the line. Now, for those fans of the RWA, the Triple Crown has been now retired. And the RWA Championship is now the title for RWA. It's been replaced. On that night, Chris Pyro walked away with the gold. He became the champion of the world. But in that moment of glory, there was an interruption. A tall, built, strong dude that had quite a mean streak rolled up into the East Providence Rec Center. Had a face-to-face with Pyro, and with one punch, knocked his lights out. We all stood in awe. And I later found out that guy who knocked out Pyro was known as the Unbalanced Messiah, Christopher Dozier. From that point on, I knew that this brother was bad news. And he would go on to become the RWA Triple Crown champion and held the title for a length of time. He was one of the best dudes in the business and was well respected by his peers, by the fans, and trust me, at the time he was practically one of the top heels of the RWA. But then he did leave for a time, injuries and whatnot, but came back and became more of a babyface. That's when Anthony was able to realize and got to notice Christopher Dozier recently as a babyface. But it wasn't just him as the wrestler. The one thing that I've been noticing all day is what kind of a man he was. What kind of a family guy he is. He was a father, a husband, a brother, a colleague of wrestling. And it's those moments away from the ring that really encapsulate what Chris Roy is. Now, I never got to meet Chris Roy. I only knew him as Christopher Dozier. And just in the brief moments that I got to meet with Christopher Dozier, he was a great dude. Always thanking me, thanking for showing up to the show. That was really appreciated. And tonight, I want to say thank you to you, Chris, for welcoming me into that wrestling family. You know, RWA has been so good to us for a number of years. And I'm eternally grateful to RWA and to them. And I know RWA is hurting tonight. And tonight, just as we're hurting, tonight, this is dedicated to Chris. We want to honor him the best way we know how. So tonight, this episode of Ridiculously Raw that will be done by Anthony Florio goes to the memory, to the legacy, and to one of the pioneers of not only RWA, but to RICW. This man, for RICW, this is a harder hit because he was one of the creative guys, one of the bookers. You can say he was the Dusty Rhodes in NXT. This guy, Christopher Dozier, is the Dusty Rhodes to RICW. So this is a harder loss for them because he was kind of the face that was running the place, you know. So to the RICW wrestlers, to the RICW personnel, to the RWA wrestlers, to the RWA people in the back that does the business and does it with such the dignity, the honor, and the pride that I know they do. This is for you guys. And I want you to know that we're thinking about you guys. We love you guys. And we want you to know that we're here with you guys. And we're just as devastated and heartbroken over this news. So with that said, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. And my friend, give them the ruckus that you normally bring in that ring up there. Godspeed, my friend. Till we meet again. R.I.P. Anthony, it is yours. And unfortunately, as hard as the Christopher Dozier death was, another death got hit during WrestleMania weekend.
Indeed. And first off, I just want to take a moment to say very well said on that. That was beautifully said, and Longfellow could not have said that any better. And yeah, I mean, Christopher Dozier, RWA. I mean, if it wasn't for MF, myself and Michael Bullock and our dear friends Mike Silvera and Brian Keenan would not have known about the RWA. I mean, MF is the reason that you know we got into RWA just as much as he did. And MF, you have a long history with them. You have a working partnership with them. You've done work for them. I mean, we'll never forget that interview that you did with Triplicious a number of years ago as part of a Talking Wrestling TXN or Under the Old Banner exclusive, and we'll never forget it. And the RWA has been so gracious to us, and I know we haven't been able to go to the shows as much as we used to because of, work commitments, family commitments, and other things and all that. But you can rest assured that come Saturday, May 16th, which is their next show, it's called Wrestle Prom. It's going to be at the St. Anthony's Church in Pawtucket. You can count on myself and MF and our crew to be there. So, and I'm sure when we get to that show on May 16th, I'm sure there's going to be there's going to be some sort of a tribute for Christopher Dozier if I know T Phoenix and company like I do, like we do. So I know MF pretty much ran down his history, and he will certainly be missed. And yes, like MF said, RWA, we got you guys. And we plan on being there May 16th for your very unique Wrestle Prom show, which I'm very intrigued. When I saw that and I showed it to the guys, I mean, they liked what they saw, and yeah, we'll definitely, come up with a game plan for that day, no doubt about it. So, unfortunately, the deaths keep on coming here. It was this past Saturday that Mark Ty Hildreth, better known as Van Hammer, he passed away this past Saturday. He was 66 years old. He was trained by Boris Malenko, Dan Spivey, and the WCW Power Plant. He made his debut in 1991 with WCW, and he retired in 2009. Some of his highlights, of course, WCW. Mark Marrow, better known as Johnny B. Bad. Dusty Rhodes liked both men. They had a tryout match against each other in 91. Dusty Rhodes liked them both so much, he signed them both to contracts. Hammer signed to a $156,000 deal. And then in September of 91, he joined WCW as Heavy Metal Van Hammer, a rock star gimmick. And he was in WCW from up until 95. He actually received a tryout match for the World Wrestling Federation July 26th of 93 at a Superstars taping in Utica, New York. He was a heel in that match, and he was defeated by Virgil, the late great Virgil. And then the next day, working as a babyface at a Wrestling Challenge taping in Plattsburgh, New York, he was in another dark match and was defeated by Damian Demento. And then he came back to WCW in November of 97, where he was a member of Raven's Flock. He was a member of the Flock, and and then he became a jobber to the stars pretty much. And then during the infamous WCW 2000 era, he was a member of another faction, the Misfits in Action. He was named Major Stash, and then in his late career, he wrestled all over the world. He wrestled in Maryland Championship Wrestling, Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and he attended an MC. And then in 2009, he attended an MCW show where wrestler Champ Champagne performed a promo calling Hildreth washed up and comparing him to Randy the Ram Robinson, the character played by Mickey Rourke in the movie The Wrestler. Hildreth, in response, entered the ring, but Champagne fled before a fight could break out. And on April 11th of 2009, at MCW's event Extreme Measures, Hildreth, wrestling as Van Hammer, came out of retirement for one night, and he defeated Champagne. And he also appeared in another movie in 2000. He appeared in Ready to Rumble with David Arquette and those guys. And he was a playable character in the video games WCW, NWO Thunder, and of course, one of my favorite games for the old Nintendo 64, WCW NWO Revenge. My brother and his buddies and I, that was our jam back in the day. Let me tell you, we spent so many hours playing that game. I mean, it was so much fun. Never forget it. He passed away this past Saturday at the age of 66. Not much of a resume, I'm afraid. As part of the PWI 500 in 1993, he came in at number 112 out of 500. And then in the PWI years in 2003, he came in, he made that list at number 402. In WCW, his only big claim to fame was winning Jesse Ventura's Strongest Arms arm wrestling tournament in 1992. And in 1991, the Wrestling Observer newsletter voted him most embarrassing. He may not have been a big name. He may not have been, widely known. But, the point is he was a professional wrestler. He was somewhat known. It was Mark Merrow, Johnny B. Bad. He's the one who reported this on his X. That's when he got the news. And he was 66 years old. And our thoughts and our prayers and our condolences to his family, his friends, and everybody who worked with him wherever he wrestled. And he may not really have been an inspiration or anything, but point is, Van Hammer will certainly be missed. And we definitely maybe not much of an inspiration, but we do absolutely say thank you for the memories and thank you for being Van Hammer. That's all there is to say on that. So 66 years old. Michael Bullock has just joined us, so we'll get him caught up. We haven't really actually done anything yet, Bullock. We've paid a couple of tributes here. Of course, the sad news coming out of RWA, the passing of Christopher Dozier, which MF led off the show with, and we'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. But MF, Van Hammer, 66 years old, maybe not a big name, maybe not one of the most recognizable names, but
he had a cool gimmick.
Yeah.
He had one of it's almost like the Z-Man in WCW. It's almost like, it's one of those characters that, yes, he never really had a big career, but he's one of those gimmicks that you will remember. And he was pretty popular in 1991, Anthony, if you remember. Every time he used to be beginning of the show. Normally one of the first fights of the night was always a Van Hammer match. And especially in WCW, he used to get some pops in the arena. So whenever he came out, the rock and roll gimmick, the rock star gimmick, it worked. It was working for a little while there. So yeah, this was one of those that, like you said, it was a tragic occurrence because we found out during WrestleMania weekend, and normally that's the last thing you want to hear. Getting hyped for a Mania, and then you hear that kind of news to hit the waves, and yeah, immediately, Mark Merrow was the first one to report it, and then multiple sites also confirmed the death of Van Hammer, and a lot of people came out. Um, Paul Heyman with the tribute, Missy Hyatt with the tribute. There was a few from like the old school WCW era that came out sending condolences to Van Hammer. And yeah, like I said, it was just one of those that it needed to be addressed. And I know a lot of the times some we kind of gloss over, but this is one that I kind of feel like he deserves to do. Like I said, pretty popular in 1991, 1992, during the quote unquote the early stages of WCW. And yeah, so Michael Bullock, welcome to the show. And yeah, I guess I'll let Anthony set it up if you want, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah. Michael Bullock, come on in. Some We received some sad news earlier today that RWA wrestler Christopher Dozier, he passed away today. MF had a very well put together tribute. Said some very nice words about him. And I mentioned that if it wasn't for MF, you and I and Silvera and Brian, we never would have known about RWA, and we've been to quite a few shows, and we plan on going to their next show on May 16th, the Wrestle Prom, and we'll definitely pay our respects to Christopher Dozier formally on that day. But for right now, Christopher Dozier of RWA passing away, and Van Hammer of WCW passing away last Saturday at the age of 66.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Christopher Dozier was definitely a great guy over there at RWA, and like you said, I mean, if it wasn't for good old MF Michael Fletcher, I mean myself, Anthony Florio, Silvera, and Brian, we wouldn't have known anything about RWA, and I've been lucky enough to go to some of the shows. I don't think I ever seen Chris Dozier at any of the shows, but I heard he's like such a swell guy. I mean, even T Phoenix posted a tribute on his Facebook page. So yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. And then yeah, Van Hammer of WCW passing away. I mean, yeah, first reported by Mark Merrow, and definitely had a lot of memories over there in WCW, and yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything when it comes to it. So thoughts, prayers, and condolences to those two. So that's all I'm gonna say. So with that being said, Florio, let's get on to our recap of the Raw after WrestleMania.
Which Michael Bullock and I did indeed have a Raw chat on. A delightful one, as always. So, all right. Last order here before we go into that, and that is, as MF said, this show tonight will be dedicated to the memories of both Christopher Dozier and Van Hammer. Gentlemen, this show is for you. All right. Getting into this now. This is the Raw after WrestleMania, which WWE usually uses as a fresh start to signal what's next for the rest of the year. A lot of time was spent showing what happened at WrestleMania, including all of the titles that changed hands for the Red Brand. Roman Reigns and Liv Morgan emerged as the new top champions. Paige made her return to win tag team gold with Brie Bella, and Oba Femi defeated Brock Lesnar. before he seemingly retired from WWE by leaving his gloves and shoes in the ring. Let's take a look at how WWE addressed all of this and what else happened on the Raw after Mania. It was live this past Monday night from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, on Netflix. And we started it off with the Rula. Obafemi. He stood silently in the ring with a serious look on his face as the crowd chanted his name over and over. When he tried to speak, the crowd chanted even louder, so he waited a moment to let them finish. He simply said, "The ruler has arrived," before dropping the mic and doing his signature pose. This was about as short and sweet as it gets, and it was kind of perfect. Obafemi is over, so he doesn't need to talk for 10 minutes about why he beat Brock Lesnar. He acted like it was just another day at the office, which makes him seem that much more dangerous than some rookie who would have treated the win like some impossible feat they managed to accomplish. So there's nothing more to say, gentlemen. MF, Obafemi, short and sweet and to the point. The ruler has arrived. And get ready, guys, because this man, the Rocket Pack is on him. And oh my goodness.
Yeah. This,
Wow.
like you said, short, sweet, straight to the point. It was very reminiscent of after WrestleMania 34 when Roman Reigns
33.
in 33, I'm sorry. In 33, when Roman Reigns stood in the ring after he toppled The Undertaker and said that it was his yard now. This was kind of that kind of moment. Him planting the flag, saying that it's now the moment of the ruler, that the ruler is going to take over WWE. And we're in for a wild ride, folks. So get ready. I thought it was perfect. I thought everything about it was perfect. You didn't need to do much. He did all his talking prior to WrestleMania. That proved that he can cut a promo and silence the naysayers. Then he backed it up with the domination of Brock at WrestleMania. This was just victory lap. You didn't have to do too much. Just play it, and that was it. It was perfect. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, like you said, guys. I mean, it was just short, it was sweet, and it was to the point. I mean, the ruler has arrived. I mean, he showed it. I mean, he let his work doing the talking. I mean, with the promo. I mean, on the final Raw before Mania, and his complete and utter domination of Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And like you said, Florio, that Rocket Pack is on him, and it's going sky high for this young man. And I'm good. And we've said it, and we said it this past weekend, and we're gonna say it again. Before the end of this year, Obafemi is going to be World Heavyweight Champion, because that's just how high WWE is on this young man. Get ready, WWE, because the ruler's taking over. And you saw when he called a shot on the post show, when he called the tribal chief. How many guys have the guts and the balls to call out the OTC?
Not many have done it. Yeah, not many have done it.
But this man, he's got guts, he's got balls, and he has shown he doesn't fear. I mean, he respects the OTC, but he doesn't fear him. Take that message loud and clear, Roman.
Yeah, but the thing is Roman's not phased. He was not phased at all.
He was not.
He didn't, like, he respected him, but then he also gave him a word of warning Let's see what you do during the summer, and then we can talk about it. So he wants to see if Oba is up for the challenge
Oh, I'm
before.
sure he will be.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he will be. You
Oh, I'm
see, I
sure of
mean,
it.
he has no fear. I mean, especially after what he did to Lesnar. I mean,
Oh yeah.
if what he could do to Lesnar, imagine what he could do the rest of the summer. We'll have to wait and find out. But like you
We
said,
shall.
short, sweet, to the point. So let's move on, Florio.
First action of the night. The new WWE Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, teaming up with Io Sky. They squared off against the Kabuki Warriors. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky win the match, 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Before I give it to MF, I just want to take a moment and say to Rhea Ripley, on behalf of all of us at Monday Night Raw, we simply want to say thank you for your outstanding service. You did a commendable job all these years. I want you to bring that great service that you brought up, you gave to us. I want you to take that in turn and give it to good old MF Michael Fletcher and his SmackDown Women's Division. MF, 11 and a half minutes. All I can say is thank you, mommy. Well done. Incredible job. Hell of a job. You deserve every damn bit of it. We'll miss you on Raw, but MF, she's all yours.
Yeah. First off, it was a solid match, about 2.5 to 3 stars, no doubt about it. The body of work was excellent the whole way through. All these women did everything that they could do to make this a very good matchup. The outcome was never in doubt. Rhea and Io were to win. And like you said, there was that emotional goodbye between Io and Rhea. Rhea now on her way to SmackDown, and we are looking forward to her on Friday to see her. And Io, we'll see what happens with Io Sky. But there was also something very interesting at the very end, because then there was a run in between her and Liv, and kind of a sign of mutual respect. Not really, no hatred, nothing in the past. It's just good luck. And she's like, I'm pretty sure we'll see each other again down the line. The only way we do it is if we see them at Crown Jewel in Saudi. That it may be possible. You never know. They always been doing that Battle of the Champions lately. So could we see a match between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley in Saudi Arabia? So we'll see. So yeah, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Time of the fall, 11:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this about 3.25 for this one. I mean, it's what we expected. I mean, this was the last time we were gonna see these two on Monday Night Raw together as a team, and because like you said, with Rhea as the women's champion, she is going to SmackDown, and yeah, I mean, yeah, Rhea, thank you for all that you've done for Monday Night Raw. I mean, you certainly ran that women's division, but yeah, SmackDown is definitely getting a jolt with their women's division by getting the because as we've said many times, that women's division is in desperate need of help, and Rhea is indeed that shot in the arm for them. So yeah, and then of course as far as the with the Kabuki Warriors, I don't know if you saw it during the match. There was a little miscommunication where I think it was Kyrie who accidentally hit Asuka, or Asuka.
Kyrie nailed Asuka,
Yeah,
and then after the match was over, Asuka was giving it to Kyrie
when she was knocked out. So yeah, I mean, eventually, some point, guys. I mean, it Kyrie's gonna be like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I can't take any more of your bullying. I'm done with you. I think it's gonna happen eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. So nothing more for me to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, 3-3 1/4. After a weekend of matches that felt too short, it was nice to get one where it felt like they had time to work without feeling rushed. The chemistry between these four women is well established, so they had no trouble putting on a fun show. It felt like seeds were also being planted for Kyrie and Asuka's eventual breakup, which has been a long time coming. It was a nice surprise that a new champion was put right into a match instead of having the usual promo segment to brag about their win and start their next feud. And Io came so close to having a very dangerous landing after a dive, but she saved it at the last second. A testament to her outstanding body of work, of course. So, yeah, 3-3 1/4 stars. After a break, former World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk made his way out with no music and no video on the Tron. Some fans chanted his name, some fans booed, and some cheered. He looked around before doing his "It's clobbering time." His music then hit, and he walked down to the ring without much energy in his steps. He spoke about dealing with a lot of loss over the last 6 months. He mentioned losing his MMA trainer, his dog Larry, and a handful of WWE employees he knew. The crowd cheered as he gave props to the people who make the show possible. He said the fans have helped him get through these losses, and losing his title didn't sting as much as losing those friends. He thanked everyone for helping him process his grief. Punk has always been known as a good talker, but there was a genuineness behind the first half of this promo that you don't get in pro wrestling much. And as he was getting ready to leave, the undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, he comes out. Punk joked about going over his promo time, but Cody had a serious demeanor. He said he expected a different reaction from him after losing his title. Punk said he doesn't feel like a loser, which seemed to surprise Cody. And Rhodes told Punk he had a WWE championship shot waiting for him whenever he wanted it. Well, Michael Bullock, we saw this, of course, during our Raw chat Monday night, and we got into this. CM Punk, you heard what he said. He said, you don't know when a championship opportunity is going to fall from the sky, and Cody gave Punk those last words. Just say when.
Yeah, that's very telling. I mean, we were surprised to even see Cody Rhodes, and man, did you see that eye of his? I mean, well, he just
like it was, and I said this to you. I said this to you during the Raw chat. I said to you, what we saw in his eye at that moment on Raw looked a lot like his when he had that gigantic bruise on his pec before the Rollins Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, it did look like that. I mean, man, I mean that. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, Cody was surprised that he was expecting Punk to react differently when it came to that, but he didn't. He was taking the high road, and you saw Cody, and he was looking at that title, and then Cody just said, "Just say when," and I don't know. I mean, could we be looking at a CM Punk and Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship somewhere down the line? Well, I'm not going to say a Backlash because I got a feeling, guys, the feud between him and Orton, I think it's far from over. So, who knows? Maybe SummerSlam? I don't know. But it's an interesting development. So, it's yours, Florio.
Cody and Orton, the feud must continue at Backlash, especially after how WrestleMania Saturday ended. That feud will most certainly continue. And they'll get the proper match at Backlash that they should have had at WrestleMania, but that's another story. As for Punk and Cody, could we be looking at a possible SummerSlam main event either on night 1 or night 2? Could you imagine if one main event of SummerSlam was Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for the undisputed WWE Championship, and perhaps the other one, wishful thinking, I know, but could you imagine if the other one was possibly Roman Reigns and Oba Femi for the World Heavyweight Championship? Oof, that would be something. Wishful thinking, I know, but we still got a long way to go to get to SummerSlam. We got another 3.5 or so months to get to SummerSlam. But as for this, very solid segment, but it may have been a little longer than needed. But like I said, with CM Punk, he's always been a good talker. There was a genuineness behind the first half of his promo that you don't really get much in wrestling nowadays. And, that was, we all know Punk is a wild and crazy guy. He likes to have fun and all that, like we all do. But this is one of the rare times we got the serious side of him. He talked about all the losses, including, and you saw that ring, you saw the jacket that he wore at WrestleMania when he came out to his old ROH theme song. You saw the jacket, you saw Kerwin Silfies, who was the mastermind. He was the man responsible for pretty much the production of the World Wrestling Federation. He was one of Vince's right-hand men in the 80s and the 90s, and even longer than that, but most notably in the golden era. And Danny Coates, and I couldn't remember who the other names were. One of them was a lead singer of a rock and roll band. I saw a picture of his remains are in an urn, and they were on the WrestleMania stage. Very emotional photo there, very touching moment there. But I definitely enjoyed the Punk side of things. I mean, that early side of it when he talked about the loss. I mean, loss is not easy, and I'm glad that the fans have been able to provide that comfort for him, especially over these last several months, these last 6 months or so that he said. Cody coming out, I mean, very surprising to see him, like Bullock said, especially after those brutal images all over social media of Cody's eye, and that got jacked up when Randy Orton punted him in the middle of next week at the end of WrestleMania Saturday, and then coming out Monday night, you saw how damaged that eye was. His eye looked like his pec going into that Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins a number of years ago in Chicago. We all remember that gigantic bruise that he had, and he still wrestled with that thing and won. That's when all of us gained a measure of respect for Cody Rhodes on that night. But oh my God, man, Cody and Punk. It's the biggest match WWE has on tap right now. When and if they're ready, give it to us. That's all I'm going to say. Give it to us. Sign us all up. So, not much more. MF, your thoughts on all this? CM Punk with that emotional promo at first, and then Cody coming out, and you heard those last words that Cody said to Punk. Just say when.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, the rumors going around is that the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk, might be SmackDown bound. And if he is, that's a shot in the arm to the blue brand. Boy, do we need that to get CM Punk on our side. yeah, look, it's been amazing. It's been an incredible ride, and I feel for Punk. Everything that he did was absolutely true, and everything else, and yeah, I thought he did an incredible job, and then we'll go from there, and then yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do, especially down the line. So, Punk's promo was great. Cody was a big surprise, but dude, like you said, that setup was absolutely amazing. So, nothing more to say. Anthony, back to you.
Okay. Well, what's the Raw after Mania without call ups, guys? And we had our first call up of the night from NXT. All Ego. Ethan Page is officially Monday Night Raw bound, and he had his first match against a familiar foe. He squared off against someone that he did have a feud with in NXT about a year and a half or so ago. That being the young OG, Javon Evans. And the winner of the match in 9 minutes and 45 seconds, it was All Ego, Ethan Page. This is another 3 to 3.25 star match. These two developed, and I gotta tell you, but actually, let me start this over here. You could tell Javon Evans was feeling the effects of that epic ladder match on WrestleMania Sunday, but he still managed to hit some nice high-flying moves. These two have developed great chemistry in NXT, so they were able to tap back into that and have an enjoyable fight that highlighted both of their strengths. Granted, this was not their best performance, but it was a solid entry in their long-term history. And then after the match was over, Rusev came out and tried to take out Javon Evans. But Evans beat him to the punch, but the distraction allowed Ethan Page to recover, hit his finisher, Twisted Grin for the win. And then All Ego allowed Rusev to beat up Javon Evans after he got the win, but Penta made the save. Page returned and helped Rusev regain the upper hand, which led to Penta being put in the Accolade. Ethan Page perfectly combines old school heel tactics with modern wrestling. He is a very valuable talent if he's used correctly. And the crowd really loves Penta. He always gets a great reaction. Stop me if that sounds familiar. But a solid 3 to 3.25 stars for this. So not much more. MF, our first call-up of the night, Ethan Page, Monday Night Raw bound, and a victory over Javon Evans in 9:45.
Yeah, a 3 star, solid matchup. Yeah, it was a good fight too, man. That was gonna be it was wild how that played out, but no, Ethan gets a big win. We'll see how that plays up, but dude, Rusev is not done with the Intercontinental title, and Ethan was smart not to get in Rusev's way. You want to have allies around here, and that's definitely one of them. So, nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 3 stars for me. I mean, a good debut for All Ego Ethan Page on the main roster. Yeah, yeah, getting it over a familiar foe and Javon Evans, and yeah, when Rusev got involved, that's basically his way of like. I mean, yes, he did help out a little, but he basically backed off, and then Penta showing up, and yeah, and Ethan Page did his part, basically just. That's how he ended up in the Accolade, and yeah, he's not done with the Intercontinental Championship, so maybe Rusev and Penta at Backlash. So we'll see. So 3 stars. So let's move on.
Well, new Women's World Champion Liv Morgan came out to celebrate winning the Women's World Championship from Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania Saturday. The rest of the new Judgment Day was by her side. She put over Vaquer for giving her a good fight, but she also praised herself as the most talented woman in WWE. Here comes another call-up, guys. Sol Ruca from NXT came out and said Liv has been an inspiration to her. Morgan thanked her, but also told her to get out of her ring. That brought out Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. He brought referee Jessica Carr and made a singles match between the two of them right away. So it was Liv Morgan one-on-one with Sol Ruca. And the winner of the match in an even 12 minutes, it was Liv Morgan, but Liv did not do it by herself. And you're thinking, oh, it was probably because of Roxanne Perez or Raquel Rodriguez. No, it was because of Zarya. Zarya attacking Sol Ruca. And that opened the door for Liv Morgan to win the match in an even 12 minutes. MF, Sol Ruca. Now, the newest member of another great caller from NXT. First Ethan Page, and now Sol Ruca is now a part of the Monday Night Raw women's division. And her first match on the main roster, she goes up against the women's world champion, takes her to the limit. But Zarya, the difference maker, Liv wins in an even 12 minutes.
Yeah, and at the end of it, it kind of was giving me that vibe of, when we talked about when Paige came back to WWE, or when Paige debuted in WWE, it almost gave me that same vibe for a moment. I thought she was going to put the title on the line, but no, it was a non-title match, and they actually did play a little bit of the thing. I know some fans got really upset because they felt like, oh, great, you just buried Sol Ruca. No. It actually was storyline progression. Because remember, the next night, you had to have Sol and Zarya in the last woman standing. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But yeah, it was a fine match. This was easily 3 stars for me. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this about 3 stars as well. I was gonna give it 3 1/4, but because of Zarya interfering, that took a little bit away from it. So, but yeah, it was a good first showing for Sol Ruca on Monday Night Raw, and she pushed the women's world champion to the limit. And like you said, until Zarya basically got involved, and I'm telling you, I mean, Florio, you may have lost Rhea Ripley to SmackDown, but boy, howdy, you got another blue chipper in Sol Ruca, and don't worry, the future's looking bright for Sol on Monday Night Raw, because remember that Saturday night's main event, John Cena's final match. She had the biggest win of her career when she defeated Bayley. So the future's bright for her. So she'll get more opportunity somewhere down the line. So, yeah, I was gonna give it 3 1/4, but I'm bumping it down to 3 because of the Zarya interference. So it's yours, Florio.
I was gonna give it 3.5, but I'm gonna bump it down to 3 1/4. This match was okay, but it definitely did not live up to what we know either woman is capable of, especially Sol Ruca. There were some highlights, but overall it was not as action-packed as it could have been. And yeah, Ruca's moonsaults always look great. And the counter that Sol used for the Oblivion was great. And the Soul Snatcher got a big pop as well. We'll have more on Sol Ruca a little bit later on when we talk about her last woman standing match with Zarya as part of week 2 of NXT Revenge in just a little bit. After a video about Brock Lesnar possibly retiring, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, the World Tag Team Champions, and Paul Heyman came out for a promo. Heyman said he had a whole speech prepared, but he is still reeling from what happened to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He handed the mic to Logan Paul, which got loud boos from the Vegas crowd, go away heat as we call it. The social media star said he hates the outsiders who come into WWE, which was purposely ironic, considering he's one himself. Heyman brought out Braun Breaker for his first Raw appearance since his tricep injury. He called Seth Rollins weak and bragged about ruining his match with Gunther. Rollins showed up with a steel chair, but the trio got the better of him, and then a surprise appearance from the Street Profits to even the odds. Breaker hit the Visionary with another huge spear to his already taped up ribs to end the segment. This could have just been a boring heel promo, but the crowd being so loud is what made it entertaining. The fight with Seth Rollins and the Street Profits was fun and initiated two different feuds. The Profits will chase the tag titles, while Breaker and Rollins have their own feud. And not much more to say on that, guys. So the Street Profits, now on Monday Night Raw. I mean, we haven't seen these guys in how long? I honestly don't know how long it's been since we've seen these guys. But
honestly,
sure
I
great to
can't
see
even
them.
remember either.
It's damn sure great to see them. And Bullock and I, Bullock, we talked about it during our Raw chat. We were fully expecting the Usos in this moment. But no, we got the Street Profits instead.
And especially the new daddy, Montez Ford.
Yes, Montez Ford, a father to be.
And
after
I
Bianca Belair.
And I gotta be quite honest. I mean, Montez Ford looks like he may have lost some weight, and
yeah, he looks in great shape.
He looks in great shape. So yeah, welcome back, Street Profits.
I mean, the Profits, now in the World Tag Team title picture. Sign us up. Sign us up. We'll take it. So, yeah. So, not much more to say on that. Now, a good couple of weeks ago or so, we were supposed to have a one-on-one match between Finn Balor and JD McDonough. But the match never happened because of Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio attacking Finn Balor. But we finally got the match. Finn Balor actually wins the match, but he does so in only 6 minutes and 15 seconds. This was a physical fight that definitely deserved more time than it got. Balor scoring a clean win with the coup de grace or the coup de grace, whatever you want to call it. But his celebration was cut short by Dominic. And McDonough gave a promo backstage that was quick and effective. Balor had one earlier in the night that was similarly brief. And Balor took no time at all to transition back to his babyface character after being a heel for the last several years. I can only give it 2.5 stars for this because it was too short for my liking, but, it was fine for what it was. So, not much more. MF, Finn Balor defeating JD McDonough 6-15 in a match that I believe should have gotten some more time, and had it gotten more time, could have been a lot better.
Yeah, 2.25 for me. Like you said, short match, but Balor getting the win is always good and keeps his momentum going. And yeah, like we said, the rivalry with Dom is not done at all. So maybe if he successfully defends the title, maybe the next fight for the Mega Championship. Who knows? We'll see. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 2.25, 2.5, and like you said, the rivalry between Finn and Dom, I think, is far from over because of what happened. But yeah, I thought this match was going to get a little more time, but in the amount of time we got, I actually enjoyed it. So yeah, we'll see what happens because obviously Finn and Dom are far from done. So nothing more to say. Let's move on.
All right. Let's see. All right. Next Monday night, Raw will emanate from Laredo, Texas. We will hear from the new Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. And they announced another main roster call-up. Say his name and he appears.
His name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry. That's right.
Joe Hendry is Monday Night Raw bound because we're getting a Joe Hendry concert next Monday night in Laredo. How about that? Oh, is that going to be fun? We know. Bullock and I can tell you, we've seen a Joe Hendry concert firsthand, haven't we?
Yeah, when we went to that TNA event at the Ryan Center.
Along with our dear friend Mike Silvera, of course. And
yeah, and those are fun and entertaining, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like when he has his first Joe Hendry concert as
on
part
the main
of
roster.
on the main roster as part of Monday Night Raw.
Can't wait for that. We have more on him in a little bit as well. So those were the only things that were announced for next week's show in Laredo. The final segment of this Raw after WrestleMania saw the new World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns come out to celebrate winning the World Heavyweight Championship alongside of his cousins, the Usos. The OTC said he has missed having the trust of the Usos and doing business with them. He told them they are stronger together than they are apart. He recalled how they ran WWE for 4 years together and asked if they would be by his side again, not as underlings, but as equals. The Usos seemed on board, and then we had another guest come into that family dinner table. The Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. Are you telling me he's Monday Night Raw bound now?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. He's
He's
SmackDown.
on SmackDown.
Are you telling me that he's now part of Monday Night Raw?
Could be. He was not there to acknowledge the champion. He was there to challenge him. He said he wanted to upgrade his life at Backlash, but Reigns questioned if he is ready to carry the title yet. He said he would see his little cousin next week and made his exit. Whoa. MF. There's nothing more to say. Business has damn sure picked up. Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns at Backlash for the heavyweight championship of the world?
It looks like it, and yeah, it could happen. Tampa, get ready. This might be coming down your pipe. So, yeah, this is a great closing segment. To see Jacob Fatu definitely caught me off guard. I was like we all were caught off guard. First, the assumption of possibly the bloodline coming back. Yeah, it was like, all right, we've gone through this before. Do we really need the bloodline? And then Jacob music's hit, and we were like, whoa, Jacob, what you doing here? Then he called the shot, and I'm like, oh, whoa. Well, this just got interesting. I like it. I like this gimmick. I like how this could go. Roman said he'll give it a week to think about it. I don't think there's really going to be much to think about. I think this is going to happen, y'all. I think we're gonna get this. I think this may be the main event. So, Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns for the heavyweight championship of the world. Yeah, it looks like this may be the way we're going. So, this is a great way to close Monday Night Raw, and maybe this could be the trade. Jacob to Raw, CM Punk to SmackDown, plus also whatever NXT talent might be coming over the blue brand. We'll see. Hopefully SmackDown gets some reinforcements very soon. So we'll find out on Friday what's going down. But that's what I'm hearing. So nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, this is definitely a great way to close it out. I mean, yeah, it looks like Roman and the Usos are back. It looks like the bloodline is together again. But I think it's going to feel a little different this time around. I mean, but then the surprising appearance of Jacob Fatu and calling his shot. Yeah, it looks like we're definitely getting Roman and Jacob at Backlash for the World Heavyweight Championship. So, nothing more for me to say. Florio, it's yours.
This was a great promo segment to set up Roman's first feud as champion and propel Fatu into the main event scene. I don't know what else there is to say, except Michael Bullock, you lead off on our overall review. Raw after Mania. How about it?
I thought it was a good edition of Monday Night Raw after Mania. I mean, we did get some surprises on Monday with a couple of NXT call ups with All Ego Ethan Page and Sol Ruka. And of course, next week with getting Joe Henry. And then, of course, the return of the Street Profits. And looks like Jacob Fatu is part of Monday Night Raw. I mean, yeah, so. I mean, some of the matches were good. I mean, some of them could have been better, but I thought it was a good show. I'll give this about maybe uh 7.5. So it's yours, Florio.
If I had to give it a letter grade, the letter grade would be a B minus. I felt it was a B minus kind of show, which it would equate to about that 7.5 out of 10 that Bullock alluded to. The Raw after Mania was an ad-heavy episode, just like the PLE, but it also felt like a more satisfying episode than either night of WrestleMania. We got a couple of NXT call-ups with Ethan Page and Sol Ruka. Maybe Zarya, I don't know. Maybe not, I don't know. We got some fun matches, and most of the promo segments accomplished their goals. Javon Evans and Ethan Page had the best showing of the night between the ropes, but the two segments that will likely be the most discussed online and all through social media, CM Punk's promo interrupted by Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns' promo interrupted by Jacob Fatu. All in all, this was a solid follow-up to a WrestleMania that left a lot of fans unsatisfied. The fact that most of the matches from Monday were longer than most of the Mania bouts was also a plus. Starting the night with Oba Femi getting such a strong reaction from the crowd in Vegas was a great way to get the show started on a high note. So, yeah, 7.5 out of 10. B minus show for me, if I'm being honest. So, not much more. MF, you have the final say when it comes to Raw after Mania, and then we'll get into week 2 of NXT Revenge.
Yes, 7 to 7.5 out of 10 is the correct rating. You guys covered it, so let's just go right into NXT.
Okay. Let me set it up here. All right. NXT Revenge continued with a second week in the WWE Performance Center for last night's show, including more championship action. Sol Ruka and Zarya looked to settle their issues in a last woman standing match. Tatum Paxley agreed to defend her Women's North American Championship against Blake Monroe in only the second ever women's casket match. Miles Bourne defended his North American Championship against Dion Lennox. Joe Henry fought Keanu Carver in a match to determine who was up next for NXT champion Tony D'Angelo. What would NXT Revenge bring in its second week? Would titles change hands, and could this be the final appearance for Sol Ruka and or Joe Henry in NXT? We started the show with the North American Championship matchup. The champion, Miles Bourne, defending the title against Dark State's Dion Lennox, and the winner of the match in 11 minutes and 20 seconds, and still the NXT North American champion, it is Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne successfully defends the title. Time of the fall, 11:20. All right. The pacing of this match was all over the place, heavily affected by the 3 men at ringside. Dark State showed no trust in Lennox, leading to a messy title bout. For the story, this makes sense, but Miles Bourne and Dion Lennox tried to make this collision feel epic down the stretch unsuccessfully. NXT could keep this angle going with Sugars challenging Bourne next, but it might be best to first get Sugars some in-ring experience on TV. While he is the most charismatic member of the group, he is also one of the least established as a singles performer. It would be odd for him to jump the line. There is also too much talent on the NXT roster to repeatedly run Bourne versus Dark State for the next couple of months. Let Sugars and Lennox settle their issues first before either goes after the gold again. Any member of Birthright or the Vanity Project can fill in the time while Bourne likely continues to build a formidable title reign. I'll give this about 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. And you notice Saquon Sugars, he continues to play leader when Lennox is not calling the shots and failing spectacularly, which begs the question why he gets to make those calls. And then afterwards, Sugars asked Robert Stone for another Dark State title opportunity. And I do believe next week he will be challenging Miles Bourne for the North American Championship. So nothing more to say. 3 to 3.25 stars for this particular match. So MF, Miles Bourne, still the North American champion, defeating Dion Lennox 11-20 to kick off week 2 of Revenge.
Yeah, I would say about 3 stars, 3.25. This was a solid matchup to say the very least. You pretty much said everything you needed to say, Anthony. So let's just Michael Bullock is yours.
Yeah, 3.25. I mean, a successful title defense for Miles Bourne, and yeah, you continue to see the friction going on with Dark State. I mean, Sugars. I mean, trying to play the role of the leader, and now he wants a shot at the North American Championship. So we'll see what happens next week with that. So for me to say, Florio. So let's move on to the next thing.
All right. Joe Hendry goes one-on-one with Keanu Carver. Keanu Carver wins the match via referee stoppage in 9 minutes and 12 seconds. MF, there is nothing left to say. Easily, as of right now, the biggest win of Keanu Carver's career.
He has arrived, and Keanu Carver is the next guy in NXT. He is going to be the next one to go after Tony D'Angelo and the NXT championship. And they are making him the next superstar in WWE. Look, this was exactly what it needed it to be. This was Keanu's moment. Joe did everything he could to make it a great match. And at the end, Joe basically steps aside, lets Keanu finish him so that he can go off to the main roster. This was perfect storytelling in its grand scheme of things. 3.5 stars for me. This was the perfect way to say goodbye to Joe Hendry. This is the great way to say that Keanu Carver has arrived. And it also sets up what undoubtedly is going to be a hell of a match between Keanu Carver and Tony D'Angelo for the NXT title. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 3 stars for me. I mean, this is exactly what it needed to be. I mean, the way it was. I mean, this is a way to write off Joe Hendry so that way now he goes on to the main roster to the Monday Night Raw, and now Keanu Carver is the one that's going to challenge Tony D'Angelo somewhere down the line, and he is the next big thing, and this is going to be a real tough challenge for Tony D'Angelo. So we'll see what happens. So 3 stars for me. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, solid 3 stars as well. This was a decent match with the right booking for the future. Keanu Carver and Joe Hendry did not have the chemistry to sell a lengthy, heated bout, but could work to build Carver up as a threat. Joe Hendry obviously on his way to the main roster, Monday Night Raw, when he does his concert next week. So this was all about establishing Carver as a serious threat, defeating not only a former NXT champion, but also a former TNA heavyweight champion, and one of the most over guys in not just NXT, WWE, but all of professional wrestling. Not only over, but the most viral wrestler over the last, year and a half, maybe more than that. It's a shame that Joe Hendry ultimately ends his run in NXT without fully establishing himself, following a short title reign and some notable losses to his name. Still, what matters most to NXT is that a new monster is building his reputation, while Joe Hendry can get himself over through words and song on Raw starting Monday night. Carver's final elbow strikes did not connect at all, playing it too safe to look like they had truly finished off a former NXT champion. And then NXT showed a hype vignette for Lizzie Rain, who will debut next week. All signs point to her quickly becoming one of NXT's best women. I look forward to seeing her in action next week. We had a match now for the vacant men's WWE Speed Championship match. It's not a 3-minute time limit. It's a 5-minute time limit. EK Prosper squaring off against Lexis King. Lexis King had all the members of Birthright in his corner. Channing Stacks Lorenzo, TNA Knockouts champion Ariana Grace, Uriah Connors, and Charlie Dempsey. And the winner of the match, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, and the new WWE Men's Speed Champion, Lexis King. Lexis wins the title. Do you want to get into this, guys, or if you want to move on, we can simply move on, and I'll take the reins for it.
It was basically exactly what it needed to be. Birthright needed to get a moment. Lexis King wins the title. Not much more to add on it, so let's just move on.
Okay. I'll tell you what. The distractions played too big a role for the match to flow, especially for a contest that was only about to go 4.5 minutes. Prosper's style works well for the speed format, while King is too methodical for this style. He had control of the match for too long for any story to develop beyond Birthright's interruptions. Still, the right man likely won for the moment. Birthright was in desperate need of credibility, and Lexis King had the easiest track to gold. Prosper has a reason to fight back for a rematch, which gives the Men's Speed Championship a clearer direction than it has had in recent months. Hopefully, when the time comes for the rematch, these two will pace themselves more around Prosper's strengths and move faster. But Channing Stacks Lorenzo almost caused himself and King injury when he jumped on him in celebration. So he got a little too close for comfort on that one. So it would be a 2-star rating if we had to put a rating on it. Okay, we're definitely going to get into this. For only the second time in history, 2 women battling it out in a casket match. It was Tatum Paxley versus Wendy Chu about a couple years or so ago. Tatum Paxley defending the NXT Women's North American Championship against Blake Monroe in a casket match, and the winner of the match in 11 minutes and 43 seconds, and still the NXT Women's North American Champion, Tatum Paxley. Michael Bullock. Tatum Paxley retains in 11:43. She wins it in a casket match. Could Blake Monroe possibly be the next one to get called up to the main roster?
I think so. I mean, I've been hearing all the dirt sheets that she's heavily favored to be the next call up to the main roster. So I think you may have seen the last match for Blake Monroe in NXT, and she's on her way to the main roster. I think it could be SmackDown because, again, like I've said before, I think SmackDown needs more help with its women's division than Monday Night Raw does. So I think we may see her Friday night. So we'll find out. But all in all, this was exactly what it needed to be, the right outcome here. So I'm going to give this about another 3.25. So with that being said, Florio, I think Blake Monroe is main roster bound, and I think you're going to see her Friday night on SmackDown.
I would not at all be surprised if that's the case. And if that's the case, expect a lot of gurrs from good old MF Michael Fletcher. Trust me when I tell you. And I wouldn't blame him 1 second, because Blake Monroe, yeah, she's one of my personal favorites for a reason. All right. 3.25 to 3.5 stars. I can honestly say this was the second best fight of the night here. This was a spot fest plunder match, delivering on the spectacle over pure in-ring action. This led to a less complete match than their first, but an appropriately dramatic finish to their story. Tatum needed this retention to solidify her reign, and it is now possible she could lose against any future challenge. Combined with distracting the Vanity Project throughout the night, this may truly signal the end of the glamour in NXT. This is for the best, as she is more than ready for the main roster jump. She did well in NXT for the time she had, but NXT needed her more than she needed NXT. The only shame is that Tatum could also use the call-up, as she has done all that she can in NXT. Hopefully, there will be a path to Raw or SmackDown for her once she eventually loses the NXT Women's North American Championship. And you notice we did not have the Vanity Project. They went across the street as Jackson Drake had a date. He was stood up on that date, but he ran into Micah Lockwood. Oof. Shiloh Hill told Tatum that he distracted Vanity Project with a fake date to make sure she had a fair match. And Monroe and Tatum both arrived in funeral attire, and Monroe brought flowers. And after the match, Lockwood said that Drake was stood up by an AI and left with him to get some real dinner. Okay. So that's why you didn't see the Vanity Project out there. Shiloh Hill sent them boys on a wild goose chase. So that's why we ended up having the fair match, and that was most assuredly for the best. Second best fight of the night for me. This was 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 stars. Very good women's casket match here. So not much more to say. MF, Tatum Paxley still the champ in 11:43. Blake Monroe, main roster bound. Maybe possibly as early as Friday night on SmackDown could be.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing a lot of rumors. I'm hearing JC James' name getting thrown around. We're hearing Blake Monroe. We do know for a fact Paige will be there. So I'm pretty sure we're also going to see the Bellas there on Friday as well, because obviously with them as the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. So we will see Paige. She did confirm she will be there. And Michael Bullock actually posted that. So,
and Fletch, I actually heard a rumor too. Remember you just mentioned JC Jane?
Yeah.
I heard a dirt sheet that there's a possibility that all of Fatal Influence could be on their way to the main roster.
Whoa. Fatal Influence on SmackDown?
Yeah, so you might not only be getting JC Jane, but you might also be getting Fallon Henley and Lanny Reed.
How does that sound, MF?
Yeah.
And remember what I said, Fletch. SmackDown's women's division needs help.
Yeah.
You add Blake Monroe and all of Fatal Influence to SmackDown. That's going to be the shot in the arm that they need.
Yeah, it would. It definitely would.
Not just Rhea, and also Rhea Ripley too. So
and with Rhea as now the flag bearer for SmackDown with the title, because we do know that Alexa is taking some time off. We don't know what's wrong with Alexa Bliss, but she's supposed to be taking some time away. And I think I also heard Charlotte Flair's taking some time away as well. So yeah, we're gonna need some help. So this is huge. As far as the casket match goes, 3 stars. I thought it was a solid matchup. I really liked how it played. You know, this was the ultimate end to the storyline, and yeah, this is great. So nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
I think Bullock started it, right? Yeah, I think Bullock started it. So, yeah, you did start it. Okay. All right. Let's see. And then we had the NXT Women's Champion, Lola Vice. She came out for a promo. She talked about finding out what it means to be NXT Women's Champion. She was ready for anyone to step up, but promised them all a serious fight. Enter Izzy Dame in the culling. Izzy Dame arrived to make clear she wants the next shot before Shawn Spears and Nico Vance surrounded Lola, allowing Izzy to lay out Lola with a big boot. While this segment focused the NXT Women's Championship scene down to one clear challenge, that was about all it accomplished. Lola Vice and Izzy Dame did not sound confident on the microphone, leading to a flat performance from all involved. And I thought it was rather odd that Callie Armstrong and Kendall Gray did not appear, as both also called their shot last week. At least Kendall Gray got another NXT Chronicle video, but Callie Armstrong was nowhere to be seen this week. Lola Vice may need a lengthy run as the NXT Women's Champion to learn through this title reign. Hopefully she can learn from the feedback in these spots. So we're just going to bypass that. All right. Just, I do believe I got to take care of a small bit of house cleaning here. Just got to try to find the... Then they showed that Chronicle video of Kendall Gray. Very nicely done. Great production as usual. All right. Next week on NXT, we do have good amount of stuff to get into in just a moment. I just need to on that last thing I just found. All right. Just give me one moment here, guys. Set up the show for next week. Next week on NXT, Miles Bourne defends the North American Championship against Saquon Sugars of Dark State. Shiloh Hill goes one-on-one with Ricky Saints. Birthright. Two members of Birthright will team up against EK Prosper and Dorian Van Dux. And we will have the debut of Lizzie Rain. From what I'm hearing about that young lady, very anticipated debut. Main event of the evening. Zarya versus Sol Ruca. Last woman standing. And it was Zarya. Zarya wins the match. Listen to this, guys. In 15 minutes and 56 seconds, Zarya wins it. Fight of the night. 4, teetering on 4.25 stars. This was levels above everything else on the show, showcasing the talent of both women and the story they built together. The finish was especially appropriate as Zarya had to fully embrace a more cunning heel side to defeat Sol, and she managed to do just that. The visual of Zarya standing well above a fallen Sol Ruca in victory immediately established her as the biggest heel in NXT going forward. This gives Sol Ruca an easy path to the main roster, while Zarya goes after Lola Vice following a likely match with Izzy Dame. All around, this main event was the best part of the show by a solid margin and gave a strong ending to a somewhat inconsistent night. The two women brawled into the crowd during the picture-in-picture break until they brawled to the barricade, waiting for the return from commercial. The crowd did not keep it PG multiple times in this match, causing all audio to cut out after big spots. Ruka's landing off the stage was rough, as only one table broke and her head bounced off the second. And the match went right up to time as Vic Joseph was cut off in his final words on the finish. I can honestly say, when it comes to the TV side of things, this was their TV match of the year so far. Absolutely incredible. 4 to 4.25 stars, right outcome. Zarya needed this way more. Sol's on her way to the main roster. It made all the sense for Zarya to win this match, and Zarya is finally going to be positioned as a major threat in that women's division. And I could see Lola Vice getting by Izzy Dame, but when Zarya gets the next shot at Lola in that women's title, Mamacita can kiss that title goodbye. Because once Zarya gets that thing, sometime later this year, Zarya will be the NXT Women's Champion. And once she gets that thing, ooh, lordy, she's going to hold on to that thing as long as she wants it. Bullock, you better be prepared, because once that freak gets that title, oh, with her ruling the roost.
It's gonna be, yeah. I can see it too.
You better get the F out of her way when she's the
It's
champ.
gonna.
Mhm.
This could be a year-long reign, boys. She
I
could have a
believe so,
year-long
too.
reign.
It's gonna be a long one.
We don't get that many long reigns in NXT, but this has the makings of a year-long reign for Zarya. Like,
Could be.
she will become the face of NXT.
No doubt about that. So,
Mm.
all right. So for me, fight of the night, 4 to 4.25 stars. MF Zarya defeating Sol Ruka, 15:56. Wow.
This actually saved the show. This main event saved the show because it, like you said, it was a 50-50 where it was like a mixed bag throughout the entire night. And then this match happened, and boy, we were eating this. Like, this fed families. This was one of those matches, 4.25 stars, without a doubt, the fight of the night. And I will call it the TV fight of the year. Like, the NXT TV fight of the year. This was it. You could even say that this has a shot at the female wrestling match of the year as well. Like, it's in that range right now, because I don't think there's been another women's match that's even come close to this level of awesomeness, to say the very least. So yeah, I'll even go as far to say right now this may be the women's match of the year for us. So yeah, without a doubt, 4.25 stars. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 4.25, and I agree. This was the fight of the night, and this literally saved this show from being an absolute train wreck and disaster. So yeah, you guys pretty much said everything about it. So let's just get into our overall thoughts.
And I believe the leadoff honors goes to MF. So MF, NXT Revenge Week 2.
Yes, it was a mixed bag, like we said, but the main event proved to be worth the while, and it elevated the show from what would have been a 5 out of 10 to a 6 to 6.5 out of 10. That's how much this show was, because it was a mixed bag up to the point until the main event, and it earned a 1 full point, almost a point and a half, to actually pull it to a decent show. So this would have been at least a C plus. So 6.5 for me. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, like you said, if it weren't for the main event, this would have been a 5 out of 10. But because of this is a 6 out of 10. So yeah, you pretty much said it. So Florio, you got the final say.
6 to 6.5 out of 10. If I had to give it a letter grade, it would be a solid C. Solid C would be the grade for this show tonight, or last night, rather. WrestleMania season is often a tough time for NXT. Top stars are called up for the next quote-unquote season of main roster action, leaving this as the final chapter for many of NXT's linchpin acts. NXT Revenge was a send-off for many stars. Ethan Page ended his run last week. Joe Hendry and Sol Ruka finished up their NXT stories last night. Others could be headed to SmackDown, especially a likely, as Michael Bullock just reported, a likely Fatal Influence call-up based on their absence last night. For our final closing chapter of this version of NXT, it was a solid night, though this show also solidified how much the talent that is sticking around do have room to grow. In particular, Dark State, North American Champion Miles Bourne, Women's Champion Lola Vice, and Izzy Dame were heavily featured and showed room for growth before they can truly lead this brand. This show also solidified Women's North American Champion Tatum Paxley and Zarya as the women to carry NXT in the immediate future, while NXT Champion Tony D'Angelo, he may still be waiting for more stars to step up to him. NXT Revenge will not go down as one of NXT's best 2-week events, but it delivered enough to be excited for the brand and the talent on their way up. Solid C letter grade. 6 to 6. That constitutes. Yeah, I think that constitutes a 6 to 6.5 out of 10. Absolutely. If you're pressed for time, I recommend 3 matches. the North American Championship match with Miles Bourne and Dion Lennox, the Women's North American Championship casket match with Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe, and of course, you must go out of your way to see that epic last woman standing match with Sol Ruca and Zarya. Absolutely amazing. 6.5 out of 10, and that will indeed put the bow on this special Wednesday night edition of Ridiculously Raw. We apologize for not being able to do the show last night. Commitments and circumstances and among other things beyond our control, but at least we got it in tonight, and I'm glad we did. So we will next be with you on Friday night. No show tomorrow night. We have a 1 week lull here. The only thing on the docket really is UFL, but that's it. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, we already covered the first round of the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs, and tomorrow night is the NFL draft, but we're going to be recapping that next week, next Thursday, on MF's birthday. Happy birthday, MF. Yeah, you get to spend your birthday with us as part of our annual NFL draft recap special. You know how we do that. Team by team, letter grades. You know how we do it. So that's never going to change, and we're going to keep doing it that way. So that's a little programming reminder. But the next time we'll be with you will be Friday night, 11 p.m., immediately following SmackDown. Hop on over to MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, for the Cerebral Smack Talk. We got TNA Impact, and we got the first Friday night SmackDown after WrestleMania. Which call-ups is SmackDown? Who's headed to SmackDown? You'll have to tune in and find out. That'll be on Friday, and then Tuesday, 1 week from tonight. Or should I? Yeah, we hopefully will be back at our normal time on Tuesday for Ridiculously Raw, Monday Night Raw, and NXT, of course, and then from there, the following Thursday, our 2026 NFL Draft Recap Special. So that's it. So until Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. This is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, our First Lady. Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.